Chapter 1. Blood and pain, that was all that was registering in his head. Over and over, it had completely engulfed his mind, a cycle of misery. I wish I never was famous, I wish that I was just a small guy that no one knew, that way I wouldn't have to suffer like this. He mumbled to himself as he laid down on this office chair, his body filled with bloody puncture holes where the bullets had pierced through. Adam, that was his name, though it wouldn't matter much in a bit as his consciousness slowly started fading, his life leaving his body. User has been granted a weak body. User has been granted the unique skill Hidden Ruler. User has gained pain resistance. What is this? Am I hallucinating? Adam thought to himself as he heard the monotone robotic voice inside his mind. Hopefully not. He thought only to hear it once more. Resistance to all mind abilities acquired. His thoughts drifted from subject to subject as he felt his life flashing before his eyes. I guess it's true, remembering everything when on the brink of death. User has been granted the record and remember extra skill. Attempting evolution. Evolution successful. User has acquired the unique skill record and rewrite ability. If only I had someone to guide me, so that I knew beforehand. User has acquired the extra skill Sage. Attempting evolution. Evolution failed, unique skill Great Sage is not available. Attempting different evolution. No path found, evolution failed. Transferring user's soul. It was at this moment that Adam finally lost consciousness. His dead body was found an hour later. His funeral held a few days later, a lonely funeral, one where no one he had known had come to. Meanwhile, in another dimension, in another world. Inside a great cave in a large forest, a small green creature opened its eyes. Huh. The creature thought as it looked left and right. Where am I? Wasn't I just dying? He thought before finally noticing something alarming. My body, what the fuck is this? He thought as he looked at his small fragile green arms and legs. His hands were small and completely inhumane with yellowed claws instead of fingernails. Releasing a soft sigh, he plopped back down and backed up so that his back was against one of the walls of the cave he had found himself inside of suddenly. I was reincarnated, huh? He mumbled, his voice coming across as much more childish than he would have preferred. It was at this moment that he saw something a few feet away from him. It was a blue bubbly blob of sorts. Is that a slime? He thought interestingly before he heard it. Inside his own mind, someone talked. Creature has been identified as a slime. What the fuck was that? He thought to himself as he slowly got up, looking around cautiously. Looking at the slime once more, he decided that he should go and check it out. The slime was quite fast as it moved around, swallowing all of the grass and minerals around the cave. Strangely, this feels somewhat familiar. He mumbled aloud as he followed the small monster from behind. Hours continued to pass. When he got hungry, he decided that he should try some of the herbs in the cave. Maybe it will work. He thought as he grabbed a herb and mumbled. Identify. Plant has been identified as Hippotoke herb. Use. It can be eaten raw, though it has little effect on the user's body. If it is researched and used as a potion ingredient, however, it can create one of the best health potions. Interesting, at least it should be edible from what this thing is saying. He thought as he released a sigh and bit into the herb. Disgusting. Almost instantly, he felt like throwing it all up. No, calm down, I need to get food, I can't waste it all by throwing up. With renewed determination, he continued to follow the slime whilst eating any herbs he could find. It seemed like the herbs were a good source of both nutrition and food. He still needed to drink water, however that was easy enough to get with all the underground basins of water inside the cave. Days passed like this, together with the slime who he now considered his friend. He continued moving down the cave. One day turned into a week and a week turned into a month. It was only a month and a half later that something changed. In the distance the cave shape was changing, it was turning from a long tunnel into something bigger. Wait, slimy. He said as he took a few more Hippotoke herbs from the ground. It had been hard, especially when the slime had decided that he would jump into a water pool and then speed up so quickly that he thought the damn slime had a motor engine glued to its back. Sigh. What has gotten inside that slime's brain, or would it be inside its body? What counts as a brain? He thought to himself as he followed it slowly. The lighting was changing as the cave grew brighter the closer he got to what he guessed was a large clearing. Maybe it's a clearing filled with those magic crystals. They've been increasing in size and amount the further we have been walking. He thought as he finally arrived at it. Only to stop as shock overtook his expression. Here's the first chapter of Tensura, Reincarnated as a Goblin. This time I'll be trying to write a character that does have emotions, so quite a bit harder to write than Kazuo. However, there will still be no romance, none at all. I don't like writing it, so I won't. If you have any questions, then ask and I'll do my best to respond. Check out my Patreon at patreon.com NarutoAuthor. Lots of love. NarutoAuthor. 3 comments 0 vote. Chapter 2. He stood still, his body frozen by the sight in front of him. In front of him, merely a few dozen meters away, sat a ginormous black dragon. His black scales almost shining by the light radiating from the magic crystals around the cave. With claws bigger than he was tall and fierce eyes that glowed a neon blue. Gulp. I am so fucked. He thought as he tried to stay as silent as possible, however it was no use. The dragon seemed to have already noticed him long ago. A mere goblin and a slime dared to approach me. The dragon screamed as he looked at the two. The small goblin's ears almost bled at the loud noise. What happened next was strange, however, as the dragon turned toward the small slime and stared at it intently for a few minutes. He stood still as he watched this happen. It was at this moment that he felt something connect to his mind. So you two dared approach me, the great storm dragon Veldora. The sound was coming from inside his mind now rather than the dragon saying it aloud. That wasn't what gave him a shock, however, instead, it was something else. Veldora. He thought to himself as he felt like the world around him almost crumbled for a moment. I am inside of a fucking anime. He thought as he took a deep breath. He knew that Veldora couldn't hear him. Rimuru had been able to think about the stuff inside his mind without Veldora noticing, so he guessed you could only be heard if you directed your thoughts towards the recipient. Hello. I'm sorry if I intruded, I was simply following my slime friend. He responded as he gave a light bow. Slime friend. A new voice was heard once again. It appeared just as childish as his own goblin one. Who are you? You've been following me. Yeah, I kinda met you randomly when I was in this cave alone and I just decided to follow you for company if I'm being honest, he replied as he scratched the back of his head. I see. Well then we should get going then, don't want to burden the dragon. The slime said as it turned around. No, don't leave me. Veldora said almost instantly. But you told me that becoming friends with someone as low as me wasn't good for your stature. The slime said in turn, its voice clearly heightened. No, let's be friends, great friends. Veldora said instead in almost an instant after the slime's words. Well then, nice to meet you, Veldora. I am. Before the slime could finish his words, the dragon stopped him abruptly. Wait, you can't use your previous name in this world. You see, names are special, they hold power, especially as a monster, and you naming yourself would put such a burden on your magicules that you would most likely die. Veldora said as he explained. Another world? Wait, were you reincarnated too? He asked. He already knew, however he had to keep up an act over here. You too? The slime questioned as it turned towards the small green goblin. Yeah, I kinda died and then came here. Ooh, me too. How did you die? I got stabbed. The slime said much more nonchalantly than he would have thought they would. Is becoming a monster already affecting his emotions? He wondered to himself before replying. I got shot. Sorry, must have hurt. Yeah, probably the same with you. He replied with a small nod of acknowledgement. It was at this time that they heard Veldora speak once more. Stop ignoring me, first you talk with your skill and now you two are just talking to yourselves. His voice clearly showed that he wasn't mad, instead it made him appear more similar to a small child who wants attention, or a tsundere. A tsundere. Both the slime and Goblin thought at the same time. So what are you doing in this place, Veldora? He asked as he looked at the large dragon. You see, around 300 years ago I was sealed inside this infinite prison by a great human hero. You were sealed? Why? The slime questioned. I did a prank on a friend and they took it badly, Veldora said with a huff. What did you do? I just thought it would be funny if I destroyed their country, but they didn't, it seems. Both the slime and Goblin had a sweat drop at what he had thought would be a great prank on a friend. It's great that they didn't kill you, honestly, he said in reply with a tone that clearly showed he was already tired of dealing with this Soon Dragon's antics. Once more Veldora released a boisterous laugh. They could never kill me, I am one of the only 3 true dragons in this world, killing me is impossible. Well, sealing clearly is, he replied to Veldora in a somber tone. That, I was just distracted. Anyway, let me tell you how it went, Veldora said before starting an entire rant about his fight with the human hero. How she and him had battled it out through day and night. In the end both the Goblin and slime came to the same conclusion. You were distracted by her, weren't you? The slime said with a disgusted tone. Not just a tsundere but also a pervert. Quite the combo, he added as he lowered his goblin body to the ground to sit down. That's not true. I was just not in my best form, I was not distracted at all, Dora said in turn quickly. However, neither of them were going to change their newfound opinion about the storm dragon. Right, sure, so you're saying that you're stuck here forever now? The slime questioned as it came closer to Veldora. Not forever, as after around 300 years all of my magicules will be dispersed and a new storm dragon will form somewhere in the world. As I said before, killing a true dragon isn't possible. But that wouldn't be you exactly, would it? That would be a new storm dragon, he asked as he looked at the dragon. I guess so. They're similar to tailed beasts in Naruto, besides the fact that, unlike tailed beasts, they don't keep their past memories. After a few moments of silence, the slime finally spoke up as its body perked up. I might have a way to get you out of there. Really? Veldora said in turn instantly, his voice growing slightly excited. Yes, however, I might have to eat you. Eat me. Here's the second chapter, another one coming out in a bit. Thanks for reading and I hope you liked it. I know not having a name is making it hard to read, but it should be fixed by next chapter. Check out my Patreon at patreon.com NarutoAuthor. As always, lots of love. NarutoAuthor. 2 comments 0 vote. Chapter 3. Eat me, Veldora said, his tone showing how completely baffled the true storm dragon was. Yes, I have this skill that allows me to analyze anything that I can eat, and if I eat the barrier then I'll be able to analyze it and then destroy it, the slime said in turn as it appeared to nod its head. At least it looked that way to the small goblin as he saw the slime wobble up and down. Another boisterous laugh erupted out of the dragon before he nodded his head. All right, let's do that, it's better than staying in here and waiting to disappear either way, Veldora said in reply before releasing a slight hum. Before that, how about I give you 2 names? That should help you out in your journey, Veldora said, causing the goblin to immediately raise its head. This is it. He thought this was the moment that he had been waiting for. Being named by a true dragon wouldn't only give them a huge amount of magicules, it would also give them the blessing of the storms, which wouldn't do anything for Rimuru for a while, but it would most likely influence his evolution and cause it to be something stronger. Sure, he said as he walked toward the slime and dragon. All right, how about you give me a surname that we will be known by? That way we will be equal, Veldora said as if he had just gotten the most genius idea in his life. A surname, huh? The slime muttered as he seemed to be thinking hard before his body wiggled as he said. How about Tempest? It means storm. Tempest, huh? Veldora said softly, causing Rimuru to murmur. Does he not like it? No, he definitely does. The goblin said in turn before Veldora released another ear-shattering laugh. It's perfect. Then as of today, I will be known as Veldora Tempest and you two shall be known as Rimuru Tempest and Siren Tempest. As soon as those words left his mouth, the goblin, or rather Siren, immediately felt an insane amount of magicules surround and engulf him. It was an experience unlike any other as his mind almost blanked out from the feeling of sheer power entering his body. Huh, what's happening to him? Rimuru questioned as he turned to Siren, who was engulfed in a giant white light show completely obfuscating the view of his body. When monsters get named they usually evolve, though it is quite strange that you didn't change much, at most I'd say you're more blue. Veldora said as he turned to look at Rimuru in slight confusion. Evolution. Why didn't I get one, damn it? Rimuru muttered in annoyance. It took a few moments before the light finally died down, and in front of Rimuru and Veldora stood a completely different person. Standing at around 6 feet tall with balanced muscles and a completely dark blue body with what looked like silver lightning tattoos and black hair. Siren had evolved. Evolution has finished. User Siren has evolved from a cave goblin into the special species Chaos Hobgoblin. User's desire has influenced the evolution to take a more humane look. User's skills have undergone a change. Using unique skill record and rewrite and using the user memories as a template, the user has managed to evolve extra skill Sage into unique skill, information system. User has gained intrinsic skill, Black Lightning and Black Flame. Using skill record and rewrite on intrinsic skill Black Lightning and Black Flame, user has gained common skill, Flame, Flame Manipulation, Lightning, Lightning Manipulation. Resistance, Flame Resistance, Lightning Resistance. Flame Resistance and Lightning Resistance, Pain Resistance, and Mind Resistance have evolved into Flame Nullification, Lightning Nullification, Pain Nullification, and Mind Nullification. As user has evolved into a spirit life form, user has gained physical resistance. This ends the report on user evolution. A Chaos Hobgoblin. Siren muttered before hearing a voice inside of his head. Yes, user has evolved into a Chaos Hobgoblin, the first of his kind, and thus has gained the status of a unique monster. Are you the information system? Siren thought before receiving an immediate reply. Yes. The voice was clearly monotone, even more so than what he remembered of Great Sage. I guess that means that further evolution for it is impossible. Siren thought before receiving an answer. User would have to rewrite the skill once more for it to be capable of further evolution. I see. Siren thought before he turned toward Rimuru. Why is it that you look so damn cool whilst I'm a jiggly blue ball, huh? Rimuru practically screamed. Sorry. Making a TS King sound, which Siren had no idea was possible when talking through thought communication, Rimuru turned toward Veldora and said. All right, let's get this started. With that, the blue slime enlarged hundreds of times before completely engulfing Veldora and the barrier before slowly shrinking back down again. Having devoured them completely. Scary ass slime. Siren thought to himself as he shuddered, imagining himself getting devoured whole by a damned slime. Anyways, shall we get going? Siren said before immediately finding his first problem. We don't have thought communication anymore, do we? He thought in realization before hearing a voice inside his head. Does the user wish to recreate the skill of thought communication through the use of his previous experience and memories? I can do that. Yes, go ahead. User confirmation has been detected. Using the skill record and rewrite to recreate the skill, thought communication. Skill recreation is currently impossible as the user does not have the required knowledge required, attempting a different path that would result in similar outcome. Rewriting skill information system to create a new subskill. Rewrite in progress. Rewrite unsuccessful. Attempting a different path. Contact possible with Rimuru Tempest's unique skill, Great Sage possible. This could allow for the creation of a thought communication skill between user and Rimuru Tempest. Allow. Allow. User has confirmed. Attempting creation once more. Skill, Tempest communication has been created. A lot of system talk in this chapter. Anyways, the main character's name is Siren, which means blue storm. If Google didn't lie to me. Now isn't this great? Mimic is going down a happy path, nothing can go wrong, right? I aim this question at readers of my previous fanfiction. Lots of love. NarutoAuthor. 8 comments 0 vote. Download the app for greater interaction. You can chat with me about my writing experience apart from the comments section. NarutoAuthor. Download app now. Chapter 4. Intrinsic skill, Tempest communication has been created. Tempest communication. Siren thought as he released a soft hum. Does the user wish to activate the skill? Yes. Siren thought, and with that confirmation, the skill activated in an instant. Hello. Rimuru said as his jiggly body turned towards him. Hey. Now we can talk with each other. I really didn't want to just be following after you silently for months again. Siren said as he released a sweat drop. For months. Rimuru practically screamed as he backed off slowly. Siren merely raised his left hand to scratch the back of his head. Hey, I was lonely, okay? Sure, Rimuru said in turn before the two started walking forward towards another entrance into the cave clearing. They kept a human pace as they walked. Rimuru didn't want to end up falling into water again, and Siren didn't see any need to rush. After this is the meeting with the goblins, Rimuru beating the dire wolves and then them heading to Dworgen to get some blacksmiths, followed by the ogres joining them in the Ord disaster event. Siren thought to himself after making sure that he wasn't transmitting his thoughts to Rimuru. I don't think I'll be able to earn anything from the events that happened to Rimuru until at least the Demon Lord awakening, and I am going to be much weaker than Rimuru by that point if I don't do something about it. Siren thought to himself as he followed the slime from behind. What do I do? He thought, though he couldn't really come up with an answer. Turning his thoughts towards his new skill, information system, he asked it. Hey, can you give me a detailed explanation of my skills? Yes. User skills. Record and rewrite. Grants the user the ability to record anything from memories to natural phenomena and then be able to recreate and reconstruct them later. Though it is limited by the user's knowledge and magicules. Hidden ruler. Sub-skills. Copy. Grants the user the ability to copy a target's skills and hold on to them for a certain amount of time. Users cannot copy unique skills. Current limit as to how many skills the user can hold, 3. Use. Grants the user the ability to use copied skills for a certain amount of time. Current time limit, 1 year. Ruler. Grants the user the ability to give his subordinates a skill of his choosing from the ones he has in his copy template. These skills don't have a time limit and the subordinate can use them for as long as they wish. Revoke. User has the ability to revoke any skill he has granted to a subordinate. Revoking a skill takes it back from the subordinate and stores it if there is place in the user's copy template. At the same time, the user gains a number of magicules from the subordinate proportional to how much the subordinate has used the skill. Information system. Grants the user the ability to look back at any information that he has heard before whilst at the same time helping the user manage his skills. It also gives the user partial information when asked from information stored in the voice of the world. That's quite a lot of skills to start with. Siren thought as he released a quiet sigh. Still, not as overpowered as this little slime. Though that hidden ruler skill certainly is interesting, and considering the number of subordinates in Tempest, it's certainly valuable. Siren thought to himself. Days continued as the two continued to walk together. Any time that they saw a creature, Rimuru or Siren would take care of it quickly. Rimuru mainly used his water blade, though he later switched to trying out any new skills he gained from eating the monsters, whilst Siren used his black lightning and fire. By the end of 3 weeks, the duo had fought quite a variety of monsters ranging from a centipede monster called Evil Centipede, ranks B+. A big spider called Black Spider, rank B. A vampire bat called Giant Bat, rank C+. A big shelled lizard called Armorsaurus, ranks B-. A large black snake, ranks B. This had gained Rimuru quite a lot of skills that clearly closed the power gap between him and Sarian. I'm still stronger, but that gap will disappear soon enough. He thought as he opened a status menu of sorts. He had managed to create it with his rewrite skill together with the information system. It gave him a visual view of his current status. What he was looking at currently were the 3 copied skills in his template: Poisonous Breath, Steel Thread, Body Armor. These were the most useful out of the other abilities. Whilst the Drain ability of the Giant Bat was somewhat similar to his own copy skill, it was clearly much worse as it only allowed the user to get about 70% of the copied skill power whilst at the same time losing it after a short while. It's probably related to how fast your body can dissolve the blood you suck. Siren thought as he and Rimuru walked further down. Rimuru had managed to create a map of sorts after a while, and they had found that they were only walking in circles for an entire week. Though finally after so long, light had started to seep into the cave from somewhere outside, it was clear that it was day. Finally, we're close enough to get out of this hellhole, Siren thought as he continued his trek through the cave. If he had to be honest with himself, the worst thing in the cave wasn't the monsters or the fact that there was almost nothing to do. It was the damned food. Whilst Rimuru didn't need anything for sustenance, he did. And he couldn't really try the monster meat as he had no idea if it was edible and he wasn't willing to risk it, so he had been stuck with eating hippotoke herbs for around 90 days now. I want chicken, I want beef, I want fish, Siren kept repeating to himself as he walked. Here's the second chapter for Tensura for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I did a quick explanation of his skills. I didn't write about Black Lightning and that stuff as it is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to support me further and check out more of my stuff, then you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/NarutoAuthor. Lots of love. Naruto.